What's good, neighborhood? Uh, Format's slightly different this week, but the mission is still the same. With the new story content coming up for Warframe, we gotta make sure that, well, we just gotta make sure that folks getting into the game are getting the info that they need as far as which Warframes they want to carry into the battle. And, of course, my dog seems to have a lot to say about that. But anyway, welcome back to another Warframe Wednesday, and as you can see on the screen, today's target is none other than the original ninja. So, if you like ninjas, well, you can ninja while you ninja. This is Ash.
Only one Porteno. Don't get greedy.
This dog is just getting into some shit. No, I just had him hop off of my lap. Oh.
You are dead already. I know it. The system knows it. My 15 friends who are betting on it know it.
Anyway, enough beating around the bush. Let's get in there and get right to it. Ash, well, while Ash is the ninja Warframe, and you know you could expect various stealth abilities with him, he's not. I guess you can say he's not as geared for stealth as, say, Ivara, whom, you know, we will be covering on a later episode. His passive ability is pretty straightforward. Anything that does bleed damage, so, you know, most slashing weapons like swords or shurikens, you know, anything that does slash damage and causes bleeding will do not only increased damage, but the bleed effect will last longer. It'll definitely come in handy for... Well, it'll definitely come in handy when it comes to actually playing off of his abilities. Also, good morning to you, Warden, and everybody else that's in watching right now. Oh, just a quick heads up for you. If you haven't already seen it yet, I had last week's episode scheduled to go up on my YouTube channel at 8 o'clock this morning. So if you missed last week's and you want to pick up some information on Mirage, then go ahead, jump over to the YouTube, and you'll see the episode up. We'll have full stream footage of that episode, plus in the description underneath is all the info as far as her abilities go. Pretty much that info is taken from the Warframe wiki, so I just want to try and keep everything all in one spot for you. What am I doing? Let me fast travel. Also, a really quick heads up, as I'm sure you may have probably guessed, but the headpiece that I have on Ash is not his default. Like, I traded for the platinum to get Ash's Koga deluxe skin, and I've just been using the headpiece for that. But at any rate, you know, since Ash is supposed to be, you know, the closest to a traditional ninja we have, I've of course got him outfitted with a katana, a bow and arrow, and shurikens as his secondary. But that's enough about the theme. Let me get some targets loaded up so we can actually get started demoing his abilities. So, fresh out the box, the first ability that you get with Ash, classic ninja stuff, Shuriken. Ranged projectile pretty much goes for any enemy that you're targeting, and as you can see, it causes bleeding damage. And because of his passive, they're going to bleed longer, and they're going to bleed harder. And I think I already used up all his energy right there on tossing out the multiple shurikens. So give me just a moment. Let's get that refill, and there we go. The shuriken's a pretty straightforward ability. You know, just like with, you know, his secondary weapons, which are, you know, more shurikens. It's silent and relatively damaging. Once you get him up to rank 3 and you learn his second ability, that's when things start to get a little interesting. Even more ninja antics. Smokescreen is definitely your defensive ability. You're going to want to cast it and then basically use that to either get the drop on a group of enemies that you're approaching in stealth missions, or cast it to give yourself cover to get out of a hairy situation. It's also really good. Like, it's also really good for when you're playing in a team and you want to help your allies recover. Cast smokescreen, run over to a fallen comrade, raise him, and you won't have to worry about taking damage while you're doing so. Not yet. Ash's third ability, teleport. Another really good escape tactic. Teleport is very much centered on, well, it's a really good escape tactic in that while teleport is centered on closing the gap with an enemy, you can most certainly use it to, if nothing else, if you're caught in a crowd. Let's say, if this group of gunners over here is giving me the business, then if I've got another set of enemies that I've locked onto, then I can basically make myself invisible, and then use the less aggressive enemies as sort of an anchor point to help my escape. And last but not least, once you get up to rank 10, then the ability that you learn for Ash It's called Blade Storm. Notice the markers that have shown up over all these enemies as I've run my targeting reticle over them. Once I do a final casting, then that's when the shadow clones pop up and start doing what would be major damage. And I mean, even the bleed damage is already ticking up in the triple digits. But here's where it gets interesting. Because if you cast Blade Storm, and then you mark a group of enemies, you cast the ability and then cast Teleport. Well, let's try this again. Because here's what's supposed to happen. Do the setup for Blade Storm. And if you've got the energy for it, once you've targeted enough enemies, like if you've got the energy for it after you've laid down your targeting, then by casting Teleport, what it does is it actually teleports you over to where the attack is being performed. So there we go. We've got 2 enemies marked. And that's how it's supposed to happen. Now normally, sorry, not normally, but when you do cast Teleport and actually put yourself over there with the Shadow Clones to complete the attack, you'll do extra damage. Whew. So basically, if you're looking for something that's a little more ninja themed, then you'll definitely want to go with Ash. His extended bleeding passive ability is really solid for when you've got bladed weapons, so again, bladed secondaries like Shurikens, any of the swords in the game that do, that do slash damage as their primary. All that's going to come in handy. Now, the thing about Blade Storm, just really quickly before we finish up, the thing about Blade Storm is that so long as you have the energy for it, you can cast it. And it's not like you need a certain amount, so much as if you have enough to target at least one enemy once, then you can cast it again and do the damage. Now, the really great thing about this particular sword that I have hooked up to Ash is that when you land stealth attacks, it makes you invisible for a certain amount of time. And that stealth cloaking also helps increase the damage for any other moves you decide to cast. So with Ash, it's all about keeping yourself out of sight and really playing up on the whole ninja aspect of Warframe. Now, for those of you that are actually wondering where to get Ash, picking up his blueprints is going to be a bit of a tricky proposition, because his blueprints actually are a rare drop from certain enemies that you wind up taking on later on in the star chart. So, let's go ahead and jump over here real quick. So, with more Grineer type faction missions.
Coming up in the world, Tenno.
Stand by while I analyze the intelligence profiles of the Grineer. Error, not
Oh, let's go.
Did the operator enjoy this witticism?
Here. Yeah, this would be one of the good ones. Let me make sure I'm properly geared up, though. Now, we're just going to go right to what would be a really good build for Ash in terms of what mods are using.
Excellent armaments, operator. Please return covered in blood. Safe and sound.
Because if I had jumped in there with the setup that I have right now, aka no setup, I would have gotten murdered. Well, maybe not murdered, but I wouldn't be fighting to his fullest potential. So, if you want a good build for Ash, one thing you could do is to build towards strengthening his abilities, so that way you're doing even more damage, even though they won't last as long. This one is definitely not going to be a smokescreen stealth invisibility build. Also, Ryan, Chop, good to see you. I hope you guys can actually hear me. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure the mic was actually on, because I haven't used this headset in a while. But anyway, I'm going to take you guys really quick through a live fire mission with Ash and show off not only what he can do, but also how to get him. So as I mentioned earlier, if you want the component pieces for Ash, they're going to be off of a specific type of enemy, and it's a relatively rare drop. And the enemies that you're looking for are called Grineer Manics. Now, you'll recognize the Manics because they're the ones that do a lot of ninja stuff. You know, smoke pouring off of their bodies, they do teleports, they run around they run around quick. But another thing that you'll recognize is that you'll actually hear their laughter.
A lone Tenno operative is raiding this ship for supplies. You are here to distract the enemy. Trigger the alarm. Life support.
And here we go.
They're trying to choke you out. Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life support. I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
Oh. There we go. Okay, let's do that. Oh yeah, the guy actually had a shield up, so ain't no arrows gonna be getting through that.
Get ready for a capsule.
Okay, you see how I've been taking a good amount of damage here? Let's put up the smoke screen. Keep him out for a while. And then stealth attacks. Yay!
Another life support capsule is now available.
Now, usually the Grineer Manics tend to show up after like 15 minutes worth of combat in a survival mission. So it's gonna take some doing for one of those bad boys to show up. Hopefully I live long enough. Oh, no, stop shooting me. Now, although the duration for my abilities has been decreased based on the mods I'm using, I can still, if nothing else, use the smoke screen to keep myself out of harm's way long enough for my shields to start rebuilding.
Another life support capsule.
Now take note, if I had built for duration, then of course, you know, I'd be able to stay invisible even longer and keep going. But that's definitely one of the great things about this game. If the enemy can't see you, they can't shoot you. And if they can't shoot you, you get to stay alive even longer.
That should keep you going for a while. Additional life support has arrived.
Alright, this actually seems like a good spot to camp anyway.
When you need it, extraction is ready. The raid is off to a successful start.
Okay, I'm almost out of energy. So now I'm gonna have to cut my way through, at least for now.
Prepare for life support. Another life support capsule.
Well, that's what I needed to take out quickly. Okay, where am I at? Still at 90-some odd % life support? If I can actually keep this going long enough. Or maybe I don't need to. I think I'll cut out of this mission. Well, let me go ahead and get to extraction so I can bail. Maybe if I do a extermination mission, that might actually have one of those guys show up.
Additional life support has arrived.
Wallet feeling a little light, friend?
I don't want to talk about how light my wallet feels right now. It's damn near floating up out of my pocket. Okay. So let's try. Oh, well, before I even pick that mission, let's do something about this loadout here. What's good, Mo? Good to see you. Alright, so let's go for extra melee damage, because melee and Ash. And we're going to go ahead and load him up for extra duration. One thing's for certain.
Are you enjoying the view?
I think I'm definitely going to want to, want to add some forma to this guy. Oh, just streaming directly from the PS4 for now, instead of using remote play. So let's see, what am I going to do? Okay, that should be a pretty good setup. Ooh. Alright, let's go ahead and give this mission a shot. Exterminate. Perfect. Whew.
There is a large platoon of Grineer Marines stationed here. Leave no one standing.
Okay.
We can avoid alerting them. This might be easier.
Well, the abilities I have that can help us with that, I can only use when I'm not underwater. Let's begin. That's where the other guy was that was shooting me. Now Hopefully I can actually get these guys to show up. No, but it looks like we might have some other shit going on. Damn it. Didn't scan him fast enough. No. Okay. I'm gonna need to do something about this controller, because every time I try to hold down L2 to zoom, it triggers the sensor on the left stick to start pulling me towards the left. Oh, that was horrible.
honor.
Die, shark, die. Alright, let's see if I can't get to a spot where I can get out of the water, because this is just getting on my nerves. Wait, what? Unexpected. Ah, this is where I need to go. Much better. But one other thing about Ash's ability setup is that it actually, like, when you're stealthed, if I remember right, it actually costs a little bit less to cast certain abilities. So Bladestorm, for example, would actually be a little cheaper to cast if I were, you know, invisible. Okay, I've already fought my way through here, so I guess this is the next spot I gotta go to. Oh, everybody can get some. All you gotta do is ask. Okay, I need to get my shields back up. One more down here. Alright. I need to hurry up and get someplace where I can... not have to deal with being underwater. Did I just cut through a mine? I mean, that would explain quite a bit. This is the exact opposite of the type of action Ash is meant for. Sure, what's up? Oh God, everybody's here. If I had something that would cure my rent, if I had something that would help me deal with my rent problems for years, but I had to live in rural Florida, honestly, I think I'd take it. Because if I don't have to worry about rent, that means That means I can actually put my resources and my energy towards, towards something more important.
From little things, big things grow, dreamers. I believe in you all.
Is that the choice that you're facing right now?
We have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
Yoink! What was yours is now mine. Bye-bye!
Definitely. Yeah, the big, the big three things that you need to keep an eye out for. Like, the big three things that you need to keep an eye out for. Can you keep that roof over your head? Can you keep yourself on the internet so communication won't be an issue? And can you keep yourself fed? I mean, when you say nothing to do for 1 year, does that mean work or what? Well, how about this? We can keep this particular conversation going on Twitter because, today's stream is supposed to be all about getting folks used to Warframe and getting folks used to the different frames in the game. So, oh yeah, nah. As far as that goes, then just keep yourself, the place will be empty, but you know what?
Run diagnostic regressions. All systems
That'll help you keep yourself out of trouble. But with that being said, that's going to do it for today's episode of Warframe Wednesday. You've seen Ash in action, and I'll tell you this much. I'm not necessarily the best with him. I'm not necessarily the best with him, but if you're looking for a solid ninja-type character to really play up the theme of Warframe, then Ash is definitely where you're going to want to go. What's more, if you manage to land the Prime variant, then you've got yourself even greater options. So, I'll catch you guys next week for another episode of Warframe Wednesday. Don't forget, last week's episode was posted on YouTube this morning if you missed that and want to check it out. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it back tomorrow for another Cup of Gaming stream, and we can actually try to get some more gaming in then. But here's to having a top-notch Wednesday. Stay good, neighborhood.